Hey everyone,
Hey.
welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I watched my first ever Marilyn Monroe movie.
Yes.
And it's Some Like It Hot. It's the comedy slash romance movie that came out in 1959, but the movie was based in 1929?
Yes, during Prohibition.
Wow, can you believe liquor used to be illegal?
How terrible at the time it had to you had to sneak around just to drink.
Now, I believe this is one of Marilyn's later movies, right?
Yes. It's one of her later movies. It's not technically a 20th Century Fox movie. She was a loan out for this.
What do you mean alone out?
Billy Wilder wanted her for the movie, so they paid a sum and got Marilyn Monroe to do it. Because yeah, like we discussed with how they're making fun of her in Rock Hunter, this is one of the things Marilyn Monroe was fighting for, was to get better roles, and this is one of the roles she was approached with, and she took it because, well, it's a really good movie.
Yeah, this was a really funny movie. It was campy. It actually had drag in it.
I guess you would say it's drag. It's more for entertainment purposes, and also they set it up to where it made sense within the story, which is also one of the few times drag has been in mainstream movies at that time where it actually made sense.
Let's cut down this movie real quick.
Basically, how this movie begins is we have two musicians who are working in a speakeasy. The speakeasy gets raided, and they have to find more work because they owe everyone money.
And then they go to their agency, but they're not looking for two male artists. They're looking for two female artists. And then they somehow get involved with the mafia. They give you an offing. Let's say it. They give you an offing.
Somebody gets offed.
Yeah. So then...
Wrong place, right time, or right place, wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Both of that.
So then they managed to escape this, and the thing that I found kind of funny, it must be because of the times, they offed this guy with a semi-automatic rifle or whatever they had back then. I don't know my gun, sorry y'all. But it was shooting a lot of bullets, and then you just see the guy on the ground with just a little bit of blood running down his mouth, and no holes or anything down here. I'm like, oh, okay.
That was the extent of the gore they could show, because they had a code back in the day where violence was very, very minute. If someone got shot, there couldn't be bullet holes, there couldn't be blood.
And then going back to the speakeasy, I'm still shocked that liquor used to be illegal, because it's only illegal to us here in the United States if you're under 21.
It was a dark time in our nation's history where they wanted to make everyone dry and everyone was bootlegging liquor.
Oh yeah, and there's also a cop in this movie that just shows up every now and then.
Yeah, that's one of the best bits, when they're talking about how they're gonna get paid that day, and then they realize when they see the cop pull out his badge and start to put it on, they start to put away their instruments and just pick up and leave. That's always the fun bit, is every time they're really close to money, they never get it.
Oh yeah, they stay broke. They stay broke, but they stay adventurous.
But it's this whole movie, drag is an on-running thing, because it's not just them and drag as female characters, they start to impersonate other characters too to pull one over on people.
Yes, they are just basically scam artists.
Yeah, they're scammers.
So after they view this, they get away. They end up trying to get away from the mafia. So they end up portraying two females so they could get some more money and also to try to stay away from them.
Yeah, they disguise themselves as two female musicians so they can join an all-female traveling band.
And not gonna lie, one of them looks like the Joker. The one that... it's crazy because I don't remember them as their as their male characters, just their female characters, which is Daphne. To me, Daphne is the one that looked a lot more like the Joker.
Yes, Daphne was portrayed by Jack Lemmon, who was a famous comedian at that time, and Josephine was Tony Curtis, Jamie Lee Curtis's dad.
What?
Yep.
I did not know this. And then this whole movie is in black and white. I'm like, wasn't there color by then already?
There was. Billy Wilder, the director, he's this great acclaimed Hollywood director. He decided at the last minute he wasn't going to shoot it in color. That was originally the idea. But after seeing some of the rushes, he thought it would be too distracting. So he felt like it would soften it up by making them all black and white.
I guess they did look like really masculine women.
Yeah, I feel like the gag would have gotten old. It's better to have all those shadows and everything, especially since drag makeup was not that advanced back then.
Marilyn's character comes in. What was her name?
Sugar Cane.
I almost said Sunshine.
Sugar Cane.
Sugar Cane comes in.
One thing leads to another. They end up in Florida, and Daphne, played by Jack Lemmon, ends up, being courted by a rich millionaire. And Sugar mentions to Josephine on the train in private that she's obsessed with becoming rich with a millionaire, and she's just waiting for a guy with glasses to sweep her off her feet, but he has to have a lot of money. So he gets the bright idea to switch places with the millionaire and pretend to be one, while Daphne is taking the fall and going on the date with the rich old guy.
And the rich old guy's so into this. The whole time I'm thinking, he probably knows.
That's one of the funny bits too, is like they're not really attractive girls at all, but everyone's hitting on them.
He knew.
He knew.
Like all this stuff that's happening, like everything in the LGBTQ community is not nothing new. Like it existed back then too. They just couldn't talk about it.
It's like really interesting how it was coded with, especially with the millionaire. It's like, okay, all right, work. Like it's really, really open-minded considering the times.
And basically it ends with so basically they escape. There you go. That's the movie for the people that like the plot.
Yeah, watch it, honestly.
Watch it, honestly, but let's just talk about it, okay? They didn't have the best outfits for me, in my opinion, in this movie. I feel like Jane and the girl can't help it was just like stunner. Like boom, like did they just give her all the best outfits? Based off the 3 videos that we just came off of.
There was a very distinct look they were trying to make with her, and also they were working around a couple of curves because Marilyn was very pregnant when she was making this. And they had to work around basically having to disguise that the entire time, which you can sometimes tell, like, they get away with it, but a lot of the times you can tell, like, she's definitely carrying some baby weight.
Like, the lighting, like, the way they lit her when she was, like, performing is they had all the spotlight up here, but they left everything down here dark.
Yeah, and, like, she was wearing that, like, flesh-colored sequin dress, so, like, all the sequins were piled up in this area here to, like, create, like, an illusion.
And if she was pregnant, you can tell because her breasts look like boing.
Yeah.
And they were using that in her favor. They had her with like a sheer top and then just like not pasties, but a little cover up of sequin down here.
Yeah, like a little applique, like well placed right here. Like this was really risque for that time.
But besides that, aesthetic wise, the acting was really good. I could see how Jane was biting Marilyn's style now, based off watching this, because I never watched the Marilyn movie. And the first movies that I watched were Jane, and they were like whispery and like, oh my god, little girl, like, listen to my voice. Jane, Marilyn. And I'm like, okay, I could see the biting, y'all.
Yeah, and like this was refreshing for Marilyn because like a lot of the movies she'd done up until then were very, very serious. So this is her jumping back into comedy. And you could tell, like, it looked like she was having fun making it.
Except for that part where they have her fall over the sand over and over again. Apparently, isn't it allegedly rumored that that's how she miscarried?
Yeah, that's how the old, like, story in Hollywood goes. Like, she miscarried shortly after that.
I'm like, why did they have her do that, take over and over again? I guess, I don't know.
I do not know.
Is it like a director thing? Because I know when you work in projects, you tell me you have to do, like, that's normal in the industry to just do the take over and over again because they decide which one's the best.
Yeah, like basically which dialect they like better. And also like in those days they wanted every single angle in order to do like editing around it, and especially an outdoor scene where anything can go wrong or any like noise can set something off in editing. They probably just wanted to cover all their bases. And not to mention Marilyn was notorious, especially at this time, for 1, showing up late, and 2, not knowing her lines. So that's also a matter of maybe she just didn't get enough good takes in too.
Well, damn. Marilyn, what were you on?
Like Tony Curtis mentioned in a couple interviews that like they used to take bets to see how long it would take her to get the line right.
Wow. That's sometimes like something I don't understand about actors. It even comes to like now, like recent celebrities, or not even that recent, like recent for me because I grew up in the 2000s. I was really into that celebrity life, or at least watching that celebrity life. It's like I don't understand why some celebrities just get so involved with the fame, like the star of it all, that they just show up to their work but not prepared for their work.
Yeah, they don't do their homework. Like, especially learning your lines, I feel like is like number 1 you should probably do.
If you're an actor.
And especially considering at that time, like she had come back with this pedigree, like she had just been in the actor's studio and all this press is going on about how she's this great, really taking herself seriously an actress. But so much was going wrong in her life that she just wasn't coming to work prepared.
But throughout the whole movie, like you could tell this is obviously comedy. You have to really just live in the fantasy of the movie. You can't be questioning everything. Like, how do they not know?
They suspended their disbelief quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like, especially when they get on the train for the first time, like Sweet Sue sees them, she doesn't clock them immediately.
And then Marilyn plays a drunk in this movie. I don't know if they were typecasting her for this or if it was just part of the role.
I mean, I imagine that a little bit of cheekiness written into the role of her being a bit of a overindulger when it came to the liqueur. And honestly, like, I know, it adds to the fun of it because you can tell she's poking fun at it too. Like, the flask falls out of her strap many times.
And I noticed that in this movie, this is what they used in Blonde on Netflix, which they didn't really, I don't like Blonde, but like with the way they shot Blonde, it was really great because they managed to put a scene in from this movie into Blonde and make it look really good with the current actress. I forgot her name.
Yeah, they used AI to basically bring Tony Curtis back to life and just superimposed her in the scene.
I feel like how they did it is probably the crop method, where they just filmed it exact and they just cropped his scene out of the original movie, kept it in, and then they cropped the new girl in. I forget her name, but I watch all her movies all the time.
Ana de Armas.
Yes, her.
How did you like this movie?
I liked it. It was funny. I feel like Tu Wong Fu kind of was inspired a little bit by this movie. That's just my own opinion based off watching this, because they stay in that character.
Yeah.
They stay in drag throughout the whole movie. I'm like, how? Like, they fall asleep with their makeup, with the wig. They wake up with it. Like, where do you guys have time to, like, take it all off?
Yeah, it was like, how did y'all have enough like grease paint for all that? Like, there's no way. But that's what part we suspend disbelief. And this is like one of many of a tradition of drag movies. Because before this, they had like Julian Eltinge, where it was similar plots, where like he had to disguise himself or some kind of like thing for the plot. Whereas like this is one of the last movies that actually did that. Tu Wong Fu's shortcomings is that you never really know why they're in drag. They don't have to be. They just kind of are.
I guess they do have a reason in this movie. So I guess it's not that inspired. I just felt like I just saw some similarities there.
It was very that though. Like they're in disguise as women in a small town. Basically eccentric women that just come to visit and just need to get out fast. But with Tu Wong Fu, they could have just came as themselves and it would have been fine.
And can we talk about how trifling Josephine was in this movie?
Oh my god.
I feel like Josephine was so trifling to Daphne. Like, Daphne's over here having a good time, has a rich man, she's a sugar baby now. And then all of a sudden, Josephine keeps trying to get with sugarcane. And I'm just like, and then keeps using Daphne for his rich man's resources, like the yacht, because he wanted to like bow wow challenge this date.
He takes her flowers.
The diamond bracelet. I would have been so mad. I was like,
Like, Josephine is that toxic friend that no one needs. Like, all of this is her fault. Like, everything that goes wrong. Like, they only get into that mess because Joe convinced him to sell their jackets. Yeah, they had to put their jackets to the loan shark, and then so they could bet on a dog that lost.
I would have been so over him. I'm like, I don't need you in my life. I have a rich daddy now.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, nowadays, with like the gift of hindsight and everything, we'll be like, you're toxic.
You're toxic.
You're done.
Get out of here.
Canceled.
Blocked. Blocked. Okay?
She was constantly snatching her bag.
I feel like this movie was really like progressive, like for the LGBTQ community, only because there was obviously drag. There was also like a lesbian kiss between Josephine and Sugarcane. And I was like, I'm surprised like all this was accepted back in the day, because even till this day in 2022, there's still some limitations that we have to deal with in cinema. So I'm like, wow, this movie was really progressive. And I can see why it's so beloved.
Yeah, and like it was really, really daring, and they fought really hard to get a lot of the stuff in. There's a lot of stuff they had to take out. Like the lesbian kiss with Josephine and Sugar was something that Billy Wilder really, really fought to keep in. And like they basically whittled it down to he can kiss her, but he can't have makeup on.
He still had the wig on.
Yeah, the wig was still there. And they were clever too, like they're cheeky. They shot it from behind, so it looks like a woman kissing another woman.
I see what y'all did there.
They worked around it.
At the end, they all go to the boat, and basically, Daphne tries to convince Rich Daddy, like, hey, don't marry me. Like, I'm not gonna fit your mother's dress. I'm not a real blonde. And then he's like, it's okay. Like, he was just accepting like everything that Daphne was throwing at him. And he's like, well, F it, takes off the wig. I'm a man. He's like, well, not everyone's perfect, and just smiles.
He's like, no matter what, you are marrying me.
Right? So I'm like,
he was down for whatever.
Well, back in the 50s, they couldn't date probably as men.
No.
So he'll probably have to end up living his life as Daphne if they're gonna get married.
Also, watching the movie, like you could tell Daphne was feeling the fantasy.
But Daphne was feeling the fantasy, because at one point she was playing maracas in the bed, just feeling herself.
No, she took to them heels and those dresses like a duck to water at certain points. Like, it unlocked something.
They were really portraying Marilyn's mannerisms. You could tell they probably hung out with her and be like, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you walk? Because they were hitting her mannerisms to a T.
Yeah, and like Billy Wilder actually went so far as to get like a queen to come in and teach them how to like be female impersonators. Like, they got a crash course in it. And Tony Curtis, who played Josephine, said he modeled it after Mae West and his mother with the way he walked.
And Mae West is a drag queen.
Yes, she was.
Well, that was this movie. It's really progressive. We probably missed some stuff, but I'm just talking about the things that stood out to me in this movie. It is really funny. It's definitely one of those movies that Jennifer Aniston and Matt Damon and everybody's talking that is dying, like this kind of movie where it's very script based. I'm not used to these kind of movies, obviously, because I grew up watching superhero movies, which is popular right now. So coming back and watching a movie like this, which is very script based, I could see the entertainment in that, and I could see why some actors like Jennifer Aniston and Matt Damon are kind of mad that it's dying.
You also don't feel too bad for them because a lot of them are nepo babies and like.
Yeah, at the same time, I'm like, I also don't feel that bad about them because I'm like, y'all had. Well, I don't know about Matt Damon. I don't know his story, but I know Jennifer Aniston already had family in the industry.
Family in the industry, and it's just like sometimes it comes off a bit like you don't want certain people sitting at the table.
Yeah, so let's honestly, I don't know how this got to here, but we're gonna talk about it. Like, I don't know. I feel like when Jennifer Aniston got into that rant, like she's just like, oh no, keep these social media influencers away from me. But I'm like, that's just the new fame. There's a lot of some people I hang around with that still don't understand like the TikTok fame, the YouTube fame, the social media fame basically. Even though it's been around for a minute now, because when we first started off, we were teenagers. That's when social media famous people were starting to come off. Like back in the MySpace days, a lot of them are canceled now, so I'm not gonna name their names. Like they were kind of getting famous off of that. And I feel like it's in every generation that it always happens. Like radio stars did not like video stars.
Yeah, it's ingrained in our culture, which brings us back to Will Successful Rock Hunter and like the shots they were taking at television because it was the new medium they didn't understand. It always comes back, that like feeling of I don't understand this, therefore it makes me angry.
And then that's what the not an argument, a conversation that I have with some of my peers that don't understand this new fame is that it's fame now because some of these people that are growing up are rather watching people who are popular and have a following on social media than movie stars. So I feel like a lot of the times like movie stars like Jennifer Aniston who grew up in the no social media era and it was like the star like Marilyn are the people that brought in the attraction, were the only ones that could get eyes because they were in the screen.
They would say like Marilyn Monroe is better because she's a movie star because movies are important because we said so. Dick Van Dyke, who is a TV star, is not as good an actor as her because he's on television. Even though, because like what they do is short form and it's they can pump it out faster. Even though he's doing twice the work she's doing.
And social media is not easy. So it's like
you're doing twice the work that movie stars are doing.
So it's like, for basically what I'm trying to say is, TikTok fame is real. The followers are there. They're bringing in eyes. That's why some of these social media influencers, celebrities, are getting into the mainstream now.
It just comes off as, don't get mad because somebody managed to make something work for them that you don't understand.
I don't understand TikTok. That's just me. Like I just put videos there just randomly, just do it.
But if someone is savvy enough to take that medium and become successful with it, I'm not gonna sit around and hate.
Look at Charlie D'Amelio.
Yeah.
I was like, I just know her. I don't really never follow her on TikTok because I'm like older. But like I saw her on Dancing with the Stars and that made me a fan. I'm like, oh come on, I didn't know you could dance like that.
Yeah, it's like not to say just because they got famous fast doesn't mean they're not talented.
And I'm pretty sure if you're a new generation watching this, I'm pretty sure there's other famous people that came off of TikTok that I don't know about. But that's the thing, I don't know about that. Like what I know is YouTube.
I know, it's just so crazy how like we keep living through like the new thing. Like remember when like everyone was saying the same thing about reality stars?
They were saying, and the reality stars are it now. Like,
reality stars are superstars now.
Even look at RuPaul's Drag Race.
RuPaul's Drag Race, the Kardashians, like you can go with a lot of stuff. Like, it's new fame. It's different. It's the same old thing, but it's just a new kind of platform.
Fame has changed, basically. Nothing's gonna stay the same. Like Miley Cyrus said in her album. What's the album called?
Oh, Younger Now?
In her song. Like Miley Cyrus said in her Younger Now.
No one stays the same.
No one stays the same. But yeah, that's it. I guess that was a rant at the end of this movie.
Hey, you know what? It needed to be said.
Let me know what other Marilyn movie I should watch. This is the first time I watched a Marilyn Monroe movie. I just know about her because she's an icon. She's everywhere. Whoever her estate team is doing the thing.
Yeah.
Like her name is still known now from the 50s till 2022, about to be 2023 in a few days. And people know who she is. And that's what attracted me to watch the movie for the first time. It's just, I'm like, okay, I see her everywhere. What is the tea? But yeah, I hope you like this. Let me know what you think about this new fame versus old fame. Like, are you team movie star or team social media star, or you just don't care like us? Like, we don't care.
Right.
Like, we'll enjoy it if you're a movie star, if you're a star building a following through social media, because the following's a following.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay trifling, and until next time,
deuces. Yes.
All right, well, that was it.
Come on, spitting backs.